Hello Pisces, my name's Uma. This is your horoscope for the full moon and Mars conjunction in Gemini. Please be gentle with me this week. I have a Gemini moon placement. Hello Pisces, welcome back. So, what a deluge, perhaps. What a melting pot. What a churning, yearning, burning feeling that we're all having at the minute, right? Obviously, head to your birth chart and check to see if you have any planet placements in Gemini, because this period of time, this period of history that we're living through might be extra specially spicy at the moment. Also, because you are a mutable sign, if you do have planet placements in Pisces, so for my Pisces suns in particular, this lunation, this configuration might be hitting you a bit too. Let's think about it. So we're looking forward to a full moon, which is a beautiful ritual for all of us to enjoy on the 8th of December at 8 minutes past 3 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. So again, split the difference. The 2nd of December will be the great time to work with the energy. However, this time, Mars retrograde is forming an exact conjunction with this moon. So let's take it back a bit. Let's think about Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. Gemini is a mutable air sign. So you have that in common in terms of your malleability, in terms of sort of the kind of, think about it in terms of you Pisces. So you're mutable water. So that means that your emotions are very movable and you are very giving with them, and also can be quite overwhelmed by them, and they tend to shift and change. Gemini is a mutable air sign. So this is cerebral, this is intelligence, this is a rapid fire ability to absorb information. This is also, not to say that it's impressionable, but it's definitely a kind of, there's a hunger there for knowledge, and there's a willingness to ask questions and to keep things moving. I think if we think about mutable signs, there's always a sense of moving in some way, isn't there? So that by itself, mixed with a full moon, is going to be, that's going to be quite emotionally frenetic. We'll put it that way. But to have the planet Mars in an exact conjunction at 16 degrees apiece with this moon, Mars is bringing with it a lot of suppressive resentment, perhaps, because Mars is retrograde. Mars normally likes to move incredibly quickly around the zodiac. It takes, I think, 2 years for Mars to pop around there. And so in this retrograde, from our perspective, having to have moved back through Gemini again, this is okay. I'm going to be real with you. There's so much going on in the world right now, correct? There's so much to worry about. There's so much that it is sort of showing itself quite visibly, and it's cropping up and cropping up and cropping up. And for somebody who's incredibly intuitive, incredibly sensitive, my Pisces loves, this doesn't go without some sort of effect over our emotional system. And there's many different ways to process this. A lot of it is dissociation. But when I think about this, what Mars represents, this sort of almost like violence as well. In a lot of ways, Mars brings about war, Mars brings about destruction. You know, there's passion to Mars, there's also arrogance, and there's also machismo. Maybe that could, I don't tend to gender the planets, but I think in this way, you know, there's an aggression, maybe is a good word for it. We're all sensitive little biscuits anyway, so at a full moon we tend to feel things, you know, and I'm not talking about just us Pisces, I'm talking about, you know, as a collective species, you know, we are all water, our bodies are made of water. The full moon has the ability to move the tides. So anyway, things are heightened. At a Gemini full moon, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of stuff going on in here anyway. Mars, I think, in its retrograde motion, coming back and making an exact conjunction with this moon, is probably in a lot of ways here to remind us of the absolute trauma that we've been experiencing these past years, and for some of us, this past lifetime. I think my heart is really attached and goes out to every single person who has felt oppressed in some way, who has been told by some form of authority or another that their existence is invalid. I have a real longing to stop the ship and to get off at the next island. I have a real longing to, you know, what does Bette Midler say in Big Business? I'm just praying for a UFO sighting. I'm just staring up there saying, come and get me, come and get me. This is, you can see, Mars in Gemini in motion. There's so much conversation in here. There's so much that's sort of ticking over again and again and again. The worries, the fears, the past is coming back. The future looks grim. In these moments, at these particular kinds of lunations, and let's remember, Mars right now is at 19 degrees of Gemini. That's where my natal moon placement is. So there's a little bit of private info. In these moments, this is what this work is perfect for, because it allows us to feel ourselves in this very present moment, to put down the past, to put down the future, and to take this moment right now as it is. In this moment, I'm safe. In this moment, I have everything I need. In this moment, I'm a part of something bigger than myself, bigger than my limitations, bigger than my self-criticisms, born out of criticisms of others, born out of criticisms of my community. So this is why we do astrology. This is why we read tarot. It's to bring us back down into this present moment, to climb down that pink neon ladder of Angeline's. Gosh, I want to climb up that ladder with her. But I know I mustn't, because this chart tells me that I'm here for a purpose. Here for a purpose. And so this feeling of frenetic terror is subsiding in this moment. Gemini, for a Pisces rising in particular, rules the 4th house, which is where we ground ourselves. It's where we find our home. It's where we connect to our ancestors. It's our safety and our privacy. So as you can imagine, my Pisces rising folks, there may be some particularly painful emotions around that subject in particular. So if your mind is cast back to times where you didn't have enough, or you were terrified of poverty, or your needs weren't met, or you longed for a home. If you're in a position right now where you're longing for a home and you don't have one, this is the lunation to perhaps in some way be a Pisces and howl at that moon. Howl and howl and howl and howl. Because the moon will protect you. The moon protects us all. The moon protects a Pisces every single moment of every single day. The tarot card for Mars in Gemini is the Nine of Swords, Pisces. So this is a visual depiction, perhaps, of what Mars in Gemini can sometimes bring about for us. And remember that Mars usually moves quite quickly. And so this 7-month period of the dust being kicked up in terms of our sense of privacy, in terms of our sense of stability, in terms of our sense of belonging, is a perpetual sort of feeling that's lingering much longer than it normally would. When I look at the Nine of Swords, I see thoughts, remember? Swords are our thoughts. And there's so many of them at present in this card. This poor figure can't sleep at night. They're up, ruminating, remembering, or fearing. There's too much going on here. Some of it, some of it's truth as well. The swords represent truth. This isn't to say that what you're feeling, what you might be experiencing, what anxiety is through your body right now is invalid. Absolutely not. The tarot reminds us of the cycle of life, though, doesn't it? The tarot reminds us that we feel like this now, we won't feel like this always. And I think this moon, in some way, and Mars, is perhaps some sort of niggling invitation to indeed let it out, to express what you've been feeling, to find safety in your present moment, and then perhaps write yourself a letter. Write yourself a letter. Write a letter to yourself when you were in strife, when you were in difficulty, when you didn't have enough money to feed yourself, when you didn't know where you were going to sleep that night. Write yourself a letter to that person. Write an invitation to them. Invite them over for dinner. That might be a really beautiful thing for you to do at this moon. I know the impulse to cut and run as well. This could be another expression of this particular conjunction. This could be a feeling of, right, flip this table, I'm out of here. Go unpack the bags, throw them in the back of the car, let's go, let's run. Let's run. That could be another feeling that might be coming up around this lunation, this period of time that Mars is in Gemini. I want to look at the Lovers card as well, though, Pisces, because this is Gemini in the major secrets. When I look at the Lovers card, I see duality. I see duality in union, a coming together. The Lovers is a Gemini card because it speaks of choice. It speaks of, autonomy over oneself and making an active choice to commune with another. This won't work without conversation. That's what Gemini is great at. This won't work without analysis and without investigation. Gemini is great at that too. So, especially if you have planets in Gemini, you mean you've got planets in Pisces, so there's going to be a square, okay? Remember, that's pressure. But I want for you at this lunation, Pisces, as difficult as it may be, as fearful as your body might be right now, if you're experiencing fear, I think that I got to say it again. The moon protects us all. The moon is Pisces. So I would go out there the night of the full moon. I would go out there and I would bake in the glow. And I would put my 2 feet on the ground, wherever that ground may lay. And I would say to myself, in this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I have what I need. That's your reading, Pisces. I love you incredibly. Thank you very much for being here with me. And thank you for liking my videos. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for sharing this work around with folks you think might need it at present. And thank you for all of the new clients that I'm receiving over this last bit of time. It's been so lovely to make contact with you one-on-one via Zoom and read your birth chart. Yeah, it's been really great. If you'd like your birth chart read, head to umaruby.com and you can book yourself a position there. I've opened up the books to Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays, Australian time, to give us a bit more wiggle room over the Christmas period. So there's room left. So head over there, book your chart reading, and I'll speak to you in 2 weeks for the new moon in Capricorn. Thank you very much, Pisces. I love you dearly. Bye.